Hello and a very warm welcome to the channel. I've got some exciting news. I will be in America later this month. My parents are hiring an RV and I'm going to go and join them for about 10 days in Nevada, Arizona and California. We're going to kind of go around some of the national parks, see some of America's natural beauty, which I know is phenomenal. So I'm very excited, and for that reason, as a kind of warm up, and I'll try and record a video or something when I'm there. I'm not entirely sure how that'll work, but to get me in the mood, I've found a video which is the 25 best national parks in the USA. It's from touropia. Obviously, as I say, America is renowned, I think, for having some of the most stunning landscapes in the world. You know, the Rocky Mountains, the Appalachians, the Central Park. I'm running out, but hopefully this video will help. And as I say, this should be really, really interesting. I hope I enjoy it. I'm sure I will. If I don't like it, it's a bit late because the holiday is now booked. So I don't want to cancel the flights, but I'm sure it will be very impressive. And as always, a link to the original video in the description. Please show them some love and please do subscribe. Let's go. 25 best national parks in the United States. Nice beat.
The USA is a really big place. Within the wide open spaces of the contiguous United States, as well as Alaska and the far-flung islands of Hawaii, there's just about every climate and ecosystem you can imagine, from temperate rainforest.
I think that's a really good point. I think Europeans often forget just how bloody big America is. When I say America, I mean United States. I think we know it's a big country, but the fact that it's almost a continent, and thus the differences between different parts of it are kind of as different as the most far-flung parts of Europe are from each other. Like the difference between like Iceland and southern Spain is comparable, I'd guess, to like Alaska and Arizona, or quite possibly even less extreme. So yeah, that's a really good point.
Forests and pine-clad mountains to deserts and scrublands. Naturally, there are a lot of national parks dedicated to preserving the best that nature has to offer in the USA. Otherworldly sandstone monuments, multicolored hot springs, craggy coastlines, scorching deserts. It's all here. Have a look at the best national parks in America.
Oh yeah, the fact we're going through these very different kind of types of climate already. We've had like sort of borderline desert areas, lots of forests. We've had mountains. There's
Number 25, Big Bend. The aptly named Big Bend National Park in Texas is so called because it's set in a dramatic meander of the Rio Grande. On one side of the river is Texas, USA. And on
this is the river, yeah, I think they're about to say, this is the river that separates Texas from Mexico, right?
The other side is Mexico. Almost the same size as Rhode Island, Big Bend is known for its diversity. It has loads to discover on its many trails. The Chisos Basin is the most popular area in the park and features mountain views, but the Chihuahuan Desert, home to real-life roadrunners and coyotes, is really the place to escape into nature.
Yeah, the coyote thing's interesting because I do remember a video I reacted to probably a couple of years ago now about the most dangerous animals in America. And at the time, it was kind of vaguely interesting. But now I'm actually going to some of the national parks. I'm like wondering, like, is there will I come across a bear? I don't. I mean, it'd be cool to see a bear, like really cool. But at the same time, like, I don't want to be attacked. So I think you buy like spray to put them off. And like the coyote, I think it's called coyotes, or like the mountain lions. I've heard you have to be watch out for. So yeah, I am now slightly more worried about the wildlife than I was when I first watched the video. But I'm sure it'll be fine. And if there's a news story about 3 idiotic British tourists getting mauled to death in a few weeks' time, it's probably me and my parents. Oh, that's sweet. What is that? It's like a fish lizard. Some nice off-roading.
Number 24, Saguaro. Saguaro is home to the classic Southwest American cactus. Their iconic shapes of the park's namesake stand tall in this deserted area in Arizona. Divided into east and west portions, the two halves of the park are separated by the city of Tucson. Both portions of the national park offer an abundance of trails amid its desert landscapes. The Rincon Mountain District is the larger eastern portion of the park.
But I don't know if this is the part of Arizona I'm going to, but I have never seen anything even like remotely like that. I've been in hot countries, but I've never seen like actual massive cactuses, and that would be amazing.
And serves up adventurous horseback rides and camping opportunities.
I'm not going on a horse.
In the west, the Tucson Mountain District is spectacular and is well worth the effort.
Yeah, they look terrific. Not eating them though. I want to see some what's called the tumble grass stuff, because we don't get that in the UK. Like sort of blowing along, like the iconic.
Number 23, Shenandoah.
Ooh.
A breathtaking national park, Shenandoah is full of an abundance of wildflowers in summer. In autumn, however, the trees burst into brilliant oranges and reds for some prime fall foliage. Situated 75 miles from Washington, D.C., there are lengthy hiking trails to discover in this national park.
Yeah, I mean,
in fact, part of these trails make up around 100 miles of the Appalachians.
There's literally like, as far as you can see, there's forest. I mean, I'm sure there's that in parts of Europe, but in the UK, which of course once was largely covered with forest, I mean, because we have such a big population, there are plenty of very beautiful, kind of stunning areas, but there's just nothing on the scale for what you guys have. We don't have any sort of forests of even remotely comparable size, just because obviously our population's massive and we've been chopping them down for 1,000 years.
Trail. Hiking is certainly the order of the day.
Is that a bear?
The climb up the peak of Old Rag Mountain, for example, is strenuous, but worth scrambling for the views.
Yeah.
For those less interested in hiking, the Skyline Drive means stunning vistas from the comfort of your car.
Honestly, I'm getting...
Number 22, Mesa Verde. Mesa Verde is the perfect spot for adventures among nature, and to understand more about mysterious centuries-old cultures.
Okay.
This is the site where ancient Puebloans once lived in their cliff dwellings. Where they went or why they left, nobody knows, but their houses built in precarious places can be seen to this day. Because
that's something I know virtually nothing about, and I would be really, really interested because I love history. Want to find out where they've gone, see if they're still there. Probably not, but you never know. Yeah, no, that would be a really interesting place to visit. Probably not on this trip.
The important history, walking off trail is forbidden, as is entering the ancient dwellings without a ranger. Take the Mesa Top Road circuit that loops around 10 of the excavated pueblos, and you'll be able to discover more about these fascinating old dwellings.
Imagine if there's someone still living in them. I don't want to go up that ladder. Bloody hell. I mean, as a view, that is
Number
fantastic.
21, Death Valley. Death Valley National Park might sound like somewhere that's...
So this is one of the ones we might actually be going to. So this is the first one to take kind of serious interest in. I don't think we haven't like totally sorted our itinerary, but it's a possibility. Questions for their marketing team, I'd say. Death Valley, it goes hard. Let's put it that way.
Quite hot and hellish, but there's actually an abundance of nature to enjoy here. There are huge boulders
I've never seen
lying
anything
around
like it.
on a grand scale. Canyons carved by gushing streams that slice through the land.
Chloe, don't fall off.
Sand dunes that actually sing, and soaring mountains to tackle. True
Looks
to
like
its title,
well,
it is
seen from
nevertheless
Dune.
a scorching area, one of the hottest spots in the U.S.
Yeah.
Dante's View offers a panoramic vista across the southern portion of Death Valley Basin from atop the Black Mountains.
I mean, that like looks like the Sahara. I think I'm a bit too loud. I'm assuming it'll be less hot now it's September, or when I say assuming, hoping. Like we saw a bit of it look like the Sahara. We've seen a bit of it looks like Mars.
Number 20, Crater Lake. The only national park in Oregon, Crater Lake National Park, is named after the eponymous lake, formed by a huge volcanic eruption around 7,700 years ago.
Oh, wow.
It's the deepest lake in the entire United States. The sparkling waters of this magnificent lake itself reflect the surrounding craggy mountain peaks in its mirror-like surface for a gorgeous effect and some inspiring photo opportunities. There are over 90 million trails that crisscross the park.
90?
But
How
most
many?
of these can only be accessed in summer, as snow covers trails for much of the year.
I've heard Oregon is like particularly beautiful, especially if you like kind of forests and that kind of scenery. Oregon's the place to go. Yeah, nice little island.
Number 19, Acadia.
Acadia.
New England's one and only national park, dating back to 1916, Acadia sits on the coast and boasts some dramatic views of this region's storied shoreline.
Ooh.
Acadia National Park is
Now that's
all
a
about
shot.
rewarding mountain hikes, strolls along the shore, beautiful bike rides, and drives that will induce
Reminds me a
feelings
bit
and
of
eyes.
Scandinavia.
There's a surprisingly
Like
varied
Sweden.
landscape to discover in this national park, from its dense forests and languid lakes to boulder-strewn beaches dotted with lonely lighthouses.
Ooh.
There are also sandy beaches and islands, such as the famous Mount Desert Island, to explore here.
I mean, I know I've said this already, but the difference between the sort of the plantation and the landscape in the different national parks is really quite something. Especially some of them. I mean, this looks quite different to the Oregon one, even though I'm guessing they're on a similar kind of latitude, but I mean longitude. The one which goes
Number
like that.
18, Canyonlands. Canyonlands National Park is a truly otherworldly place.
Yeah, it looks like
the landscape more
different
like
planet.
something you would expect on Mars than Earth.
Yeah.
The largest national park in Utah is all about
I'm not
its
saying you should, NASA, but if you want to fake the Mars landings, not a bad place to go.
canyons. These snake around its ancient landscape, which is also punctuated by
To be clear, I don't think they fit. I don't think they fake the moon landings. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
cliffs above the Colorado and Green Rivers, as well as strange rock formations. The park itself is divided into 4 sections by both these rivers, forming a Y shape in this rocky, alien stretch of land. Island in the Sky sits in the middle and is the busiest part of the park. For good reason. The views are incredible.
Nice. A cave or something?
Number 17, Redwood. Home to the giant trees of the same name, Redwood National Park lies on the northwestern Pacific coast in California. It's home to some of the tallest trees in the world.
Yeah, I've heard of this. And aren't there some of the oldest trees as well? Like, genuinely ridiculously old.
There's an enigmatic mix here of lush coastal scenery and lush prairie lands. The redwood trees are also some of the most ancient trees on the planet, with branches covered in moss and ferns. There are plenty of trails.
So like, there were probably or at least I think. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but there might be trees there which are older than the United States as a country, which is really quite incredible.
Enjoy walking through the vast
Especially
forests,
how many
which make for good
wildfires you
days
guys
out.
have.
To really soak up what the park has to offer, it boasts campgrounds and backcountry sites for overnight stays.
Oh, where's the birds got there, birds? Got worried for a second.
Number 16. Grand Teton. Grand Teton in the Rocky Mountains is a wild wilderness of 12 peaks sculpted through the ages by glaciers.
Yeah, that last
This
shot was
includes, of course,
amazing because
the
you could
Grand
see
Teton
the
itself,
mountains
which
above
stands at an
the
impressive 13,775 feet above sea level. The beautiful landscape here is just begging to be hiked. There are captivating canyons filled with fresh forests to explore, crystal alpine lakes to marvel at, and fragrant wildflowers which provide pops of color. This rugged land plays host to all manner of beasts, including elks, moose, and bears.
Ooh. Probably, well, elks are pretty scary as well because they're enormous, aren't they? It's like a deer that's done a lot of steroids. Between an elk and a bear, I think I'll take the elk.
Number 15.
That
Mount
looks like a
Rainier.
city.
The fifth highest peak in the United States, Mount Rainier itself is an icon of a mountain that can be seen through much of Washington state. Rainier is actually an active volcano that last erupted as recently as 1854, close to the urban area.
That means due another one.
Of Puget Sound, Mount Rainier National Park and its 26 glaciers is a hiker's paradise, with fabulous hiking trails lacing the foothills and carpets of flowers blooming in spring and summer. Many people attempt to climb to the snowy peak of Rainier,
but only
it's
10%
tough going.
return.
Only half the adventurers who try go the whole way.
But the other ones do come back, right? It's not like Everest. I'm getting like Lord of the Rings vibes from this place. I mean, less so from this shot, I'll admit.
Number 14. Sequoia. This national park is named after another species of the sequoia family, the Sequoiadendron giganteum, colloquially known as the giant redwood.
Wow.
Drive-through trees and huge ancient examples of the redwoods here characterize the
they're
park.
enormous.
In fact, it's here that you will find General Sherman, a giant redwood that's claimed to be the largest living tree on Earth. There are also deep 10,000...
Promise not to damage it. that would be awkward. So Sherman, that's named after the Civil War general, right? Because I did a reaction video on the Civil War, and there was definitely a guy called Sherman who was important. So, but please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm wondering if that's probably it.
7-year-old caves that hide supersized stalactites. For a breathtaking vista of the Sierra Mountains, head to Eagle View. Number 13. Arches. Another of Utah's national parks that is made up of Martian badlands. The sandstone landscape here is out of this world.
Yeah.
There are a sublime selection of...
I've heard Utah is particularly like, you almost can't believe you're on Earth, if that kind of makes sense. I know they got those really flat deserts where they always do the land speed records, and obviously they got these really impressive mountain ranges as well.
Rock arches.
Not going there on our visit, but would like
as well
to
as other
at some
strange
point.
and intricate rock formations. Landscape Arch is actually one of the largest natural arches in the world, measuring in at 306 feet across. This is an easy access national park with a selection of short hikes to embark on, but possibly more popular are rock climbing and canyoning. The
Okay.
fiery furnace, a famous formation, blazes orange and red as the sun sets each day.
Yeah, that must be quite something. That one looks like it's about to fall. I don't want to be the one who like knocks it off.
Number 12.
Ooh.
Glacier. Glacier National Park boasts an
Now this is
outstanding
Lord of the
natural
Rings.
world that has been, as you might expect from the name, carved and sculpted over thousands of years by glaciers.
By one
It's
man.
a land of dramatic rocky outcrops, snow-topped peaks, raging waterfalls, and beautifully reflective lakes. There are an impressive amount of hiking trails here that wind like arteries of adventure around the jaw-dropping landscape. This is also the place where grizzly bears roam in abundance in
Okay.
the dense mountain forests.
Thanks.
Popular scenic drive
slightly
Gulf to
going off
Sun
this
Road
place now.
is an excellent way
They're
to
the
see
big
the
brown
beauty
ones,
of
right?
the national park without setting foot out of your car.
I will, just because we're talking about wildlife, I'll tell a story. So, the last time I went to America, my second ever trip was in 2017. And we went to New York and Washington, D.C., and we went to New York Central Park. And we were kind of like looking into some of the trees, and there were these quite large mammals, about the size of a badger, and they were just incredibly coloured and kind of. I'd never seen anything like it. So like me and my parents were really amazed and trying to work out what they were, and no one else was interested at all. Anyway, eventually someone told us they were. I think we figured out they were raccoons, which I gather is not regarded as very impressive in America. But I was impressed by the raccoons. So yeah, if you're watching this and you're a raccoon, I think you're being hard done by. So yeah, you see that. I presume a lot of these places look massively different in winter, especially the ones kind of in the north, where I guess they just get covered with snow, right?
Number 11. Rocky Mountain. One of the most spectacular slices of nature in Colorado, the Rocky Mountain National Park, is awash with imposing granite mountains, aqua-colored alpine lakes, and meadows that burst into life come summer. It's the perfect place for adventure amidst nature, with a selection of trails where you can find peace, quiet, and serenity. The wilderness of the national park makes it the ideal host for many wild animals too, like elk, moose, and black bear. Bear Lake, one of the 10 lakes in the park, is a famous scenic spot for visitors, where
Okay.
you can soak up views of the glacial valleys and mountaintops.
Yeah, again, it's got a different. It just feels different to some of the other parks, even if the kind of the core scenery is quite similar. Impressive antlers. What's that? Is that like a? I don't know what
Number
that was.
10. Everglades. A
Ah,
gigantic area of land that's as
this is
famous
Florida,
as
isn't it?
Florida itself. The Everglades National Park is home to vast tracts of swamp and the ubiquitous alligators.
Yeah. So when I was really young, my first visit to America was to Disneyland, but we also went on like a hoverboat trip to the Everglades. Went past loads of alligators, which I found a little bit, a little bit terrifying, but it was certainly very impressive. And
Make
the
the
sheer number of
Everglades
bird
what they
species
are.
as well.
You can take a kayak out and explore the
I'm not doing
mangrove
on a
waterways
bloody
for
kayak.
yourself,
I'll do it in a
slicing across the silent waters of the myriad lakes.
kayak is way, way too small for me to get that close to alligators. I want to go in an aircraft carrier. I want something where I'm completely safe. Hovercraft, just about acceptable, but really should be a bit bigger.
Or you could opt for a quintessential airboat tour of
Yeah.
the swamp. The
Done that.
Anhinga Trail is where you can spot cold-blooded gators basking in the sun and the eponymous Anhinga lying in wait for their prey.
The
You
what?
can even head out on a nocturnal walk with a ranger.
That's not spray, isn't it? I think we get them here. I would not be that close. By God. Egret, I think. Oh, they're quite something. Could you? This is real. I don't know what made this thought come into my brain, but I was trying to work out how fast you have to go to hop along them as though they're stones and not get eaten. It's probably a terrible idea. Probably a reason people don't tend to have that thought.
Number 9. Bryce Canyon.
Bryce
Canyon
Canyon.
National Park is famous for its rock formations. Known as hoodoos, these spire-like sandstone rocks jut into the sky for a supremely interesting landscape.
Yeah,
It's
again,
been
it's
sculpted
very,
over time by freeze-thaw
very
erosion
unique.
and has morphed the soft sandstone into the marvelous landscape it is today. There are various trails, such as the Rim Trail, weaving through the rocks. Bryce Point is the perfect spot for views out over the so-called Silent City, with the vista below made up of walls of rock and hoodoos looking like somewhere from another time and place.
Yeah, definitely. That's giving me like proper Western movie vibes. And it's like impressive. You can see that the rock formations were higher than
Number
trees.
8. Hawaii Volcanoes. Set on the Big Island in the Pacific, Hawaii Volcanoes National Park encompasses Mauna Loa. This massive volcano has a summit that, surprisingly, is sometimes...
Again, that's like Mount Doom. So like, Hawaii's several islands, isn't it? Not just one. Or is this like the Big Island? I guess.
is covered in snow. The national park also features volcanic coasts made from cooled lava flows, rich rainforests, magnificent green meadows in the mountains, and geological formations such as lava tubes. Kilauea, a shield volcano in the national park, has erupted as recently as 2018. The last eruption quite literally changed the shape of the park itself, an insight into the power of nature.
That might be a little bit too recently for comfort.
Are understandably closed.
Yeah. Don't know if I'd rather be torn apart by a bear or fall into the lava. I get the lava's probably would lava be quicker. I'm gonna think about this very, very seriously before my America trip in a couple of weeks' time. Not if I'm actually going anywhere any volcanoes, as far as I know. Wow.
Number 7. Carlsbad Caverns. Located 25 miles from a former ranch town, Carlsbad Caverns National Park is a network of caverns and is, in equal parts, an eerie and incredible sight to behold.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The main chamber of the cave itself, called the Big Room, is impressive to say the least. To access it, you can choose to take an ear-popping elevator that runs the equivalent to the entire height of the Empire State Building. Or you can take a snaking pathway into the subterranean abyss below.
Wow.
The Big Room is a cathedral-like opening, complete with a trail and the largest stalagmite in the world.
I've been to something. I've been in underground caves before in like different parts of Europe. So I think I did some in Slovenia. And it's really something being kind of stuck underground with these massive stalactites coming down. and it's very impressive. A little bit disconcerting. You're quite sort of slightly glad when you're out, but definitely worth doing. And stalactites come down, and
Number
stalagmites
6,
go up. I
Great
think.
Smoky
Or
Mountains.
all the way around.
This national park is a world of beautiful nature. Think verdant forests as far as the eye can see, glistening waterfalls, and undulating mountain peaks. The forests themselves come alive in springtime, with a rainbow of wildflowers blazing between the trees. Autumn brings the famous fall foliage for a sea of auburn, and winter is all about snow. Dubbed the Smokies because of the misty mountaintops, exploring this national park is like stepping into the past. There are still remote mountain communities who call this region home. It's a great spot to truly unwind and leave the modern world behind.
Yeah. I want to leave the modern world behind, but I also want to be within easy range of fast food and internet. So I have mixed priorities. No, that looks beautiful.
Number 5, Denali. Denali National Park is the monumental tract of land that makes up Alaska's most famous national park. The centerpiece, by a long stretch, is Denali. Formerly known as Mount McKinley, this towering mountain is the tallest in North America, at 6,190 meters above.
And isn't because Alaska I know is huge and very, very sparsely populated. So I'm guessing the national parks in Alaska are just are just huge, or perhaps like you don't even need to have national parks because there's so little humans to kind of protect stuff from.
Sea level.
Is that a moose?
It's truly a sight to behold.
Maybe.
As the snowy tip seems to actually pierce the sky. Snowy boreal forests, desolate tundra, jagged mountains, and lakes all play host to caribou, moose, grizzly bear, and wolves. For those seeking true wilderness, this might be
that's what I want to avoid.
place.
If it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lay down. And if it's white, I can't remember what the rest of that was. If it's white, say goodnight. That's it. Because you're screwed. Unless it's a brown bear, which has got some snow covering on it.
Number 4, Zion. Utah's splendid national parks don't get better than Zion.
Yeah, Utah looks
Red and
amazing.
white
I have to go there
that
sometime.
make up Zion Canyon slice into the air. They're edged by greenery, making for a colorful place to soak up this amazing wonder of nature. And there are some great ways to get right into the thick of things. The Narrows, for example, is a 16-mile adventure through the canyon and along the Virgin River at the base of it. Elsewhere, there's the Big Springs, a hike that weaves along the eponymous fern-edged spring itself.
I mean, I don't know if I want to go that deep in water, but it looks pretty cool. Oh, wow. That could have gone wrong, blimey. Yeah, some of these look a little bit like you've got to watch where you're putting your feet.
Number 3, Yosemite.
Oh, this is one we're going to, so this is relevant. Haha.
National Park is a popular place to explore some of California's best nature. There are giant sequoias that tower into the air at Mariposa Grove. There's the glorious green of the Yosemite Valley with its granite walls. And there's the spectacular vernal fall, falling 713 feet to the floor below.
It's
owing to its
epic.
popularity, Yosemite National Park welcomes a whopping 4 million visitors annually. But
and 4 million and free in 2024.
thankfully, there's space for everyone amid the sweeping peaks of Half Dome and the gleaming lakes.
Yeah, that looks really, really impressive. Is Yosemite one of the biggest national parks? Or is it just one of the most famous? Not sure.
Number 2, Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
Renowned the world.
So we're going to this one as well. So yeah, and I guess are these like in advancing order? So is the 25 best starting from the worst to the best, or is it just like 25 best randomly selected? I'm not sure, but definitely we're going to the last one, Yosemite and Grand Canyon, and obviously Grand Canyon is amazing. I think everyone knows that.
World over, the Grand Canyon needs no introduction.
Yeah.
One of the largest canyons in the world, it really has to be seen to be properly appreciated. Whether you visit the north, south, east, or west rim areas, it's always a giant sculpture of light and shadow that barrels its way across an awesome landscape. Around the national park that encompasses it, there are a whole host of trails and viewpoints. Cape Royal on the North Rim is a top vista for many major parts of the Grand Canyon. You can even reach down to the canyon floor over a mile down in some places via steep, meandering trails.
I hope those like barriers are secure.
Number 1, Yellowstone.
Yeah,
the
of course.
granddaddy of
Forgot about
American national
Yellowstone.
parks, Yellowstone is the oldest in the United States and the world, having been founded in 1872. When it was first discovered, stories of the magnificence of the area were passed off as lies and tall tales.
That last
You can
shot
see
was
why.
quite something.
Erupting geysers here belch steam and water, such as the clockwork Old Faithful. There are boiling hot springs like the Grand Prismatic Spring. Thanks to differing temperatures and minerals as the water spreads out, this is a veritable rainbow of unbelievable colors. There's even the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, a natural wonder in granite. This place is a true icon of
bison.
sea nature.
Yeah, I'm getting like Iceland's vibes. I guess it's like all the kind of water shooting out and stuff. I think that's like another. That's got to go on the list. Obviously not for this trip, but for some point in the future. Would love to see wild bison from a safe distance. Touropia. Yeah, no, that was, as I say, I mean, I was expected to be impressed, and I absolutely was impressed. I mean, as the video repeatedly pointed out, just the sheer variety was incredible. And the size of these national parks as well, I think, is certainly unlike anything we've got in the UK. So I'm really looking forward to my trip. This video has definitely pumped me up, and it's given me some ideas for possible future trips. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found this interesting. If you've got any tips for visiting national parks in Arizona, although to be honest, I don't think we're going to have any spare time, but and any tips for not getting eaten, that would be appreciated. But yeah, I hope to see you shortly.